UV recently announced record solar generation results for the DeGrussa project, their flagship project for sandfire resources.
So I've got the challenging task now to keep you awake before the break. I think it has been quite a long session. I try to do my best. Once again, Amiram was my name. I head international business initiatives at UV, and one key topic that has kept me busy in the last years are hybrid projects, especially in the mining sector. Just a quick one. I think I'll skip over that. The agenda, pretty crisp. Number one, I will just tell you what UV has been doing and where we are headquartered. Then I will show you a case study, a recent case study in Western Australia, a project that we've been working on that is, I think, representative to a lot of people here in the room and projects that are coming, and then about the involvement of our hybrid solution that we now call Hybrid IQ. So we've been developing, building and operating renewable energy projects for more than 22 years now, 23 years actually, which combines to around 5,000 megawatts, around 1,000 or more than 1,000 wind turbines, around 1,700 solar systems, and we've been doing this out of Germany, here in Australia, in a lot of Asian countries, in Africa, with 850 employees. I think I'll leave it with that and jump right into the case study. So that case study is in Western Australia. We're looking at an AXX listed mining company that is in the base metal space, is looking at a mine life that can extend to beyond 25 years, so that's probably exceptional, and has all energy options for greenfield development. So it could go diesel, it could go gas, it could go renewables. This is an off-grid application, so this is not an on-grid project. While I've been talking a lot about costs and the benefits on the cash operating costs, all-in sustaining costs in the past when I presented, here we'll go a little bit deeper on technology and integration. The target LCOE is below 15 Australian dollar cents per kilowatt hour, and the initial PPA term should be around 10 to 15 years, so significantly shorter than the mine life. So the historical project you've already heard, and I don't want to dwell so long on it. DeGrussa has a battery, has solar, achieves 20% renewables. We've done that now within 11 months instead of 12, so I think that's kudos to our team that operates the plant, and has been operating at 100% uptime for more than 2 years. So reliability, very important factor, but I want to jump in what can we do in the future. And we've heard that already with the announcement of Agri Gold, where we've actually installed the solar facility and are in the process of finalizing that with our partners at EDL, is integrating the great wind resource that we have at many mine sites here. And the amazing thing here, and I've shown that in Toronto, but I'm going a bit more detail here, is as you go higher penetration, with a different, this is a comparison between diesel and gas, you see that the energy costs come significantly down on the diesel side. On gas, pipeline gas, where you have to have a significant upfront investment, it stays rather flat. You see, you could achieve your target LCOE right now, assuming a certain pipeline cost, without any renewables. If you go and do that with diesel, you achieve it going to around 70–80% of renewables. So that's I think an important point, and I think that's one of the hard sells that we heard earlier, that internally then at the board decision, why would we go renewables if there's let's say not the massive all-in sustaining cost reduction. Now comes the challenge of integration. When you're on-grid, integration is much less of a concern. When you're off-grid, you need to integrate your energy sources, your intermittent one, solar and wind, with your on-site generation. This is a typical load profile of a mine, of an off-grid mine, pretty stable. There are some permissive starts and stops. Now, when you look at the daily wind generation profile, you see it follows the load quite nicely. However, during the day, there's a drop in wind speeds normally in Western Australia, which is quite nice when you look at the solar generation, because that fills that gap pretty well. So that's a very nice combination that can fill your energy needs almost completely. You fill that gap then, and that's now, I think, the game changer as to what we've done at DeGrussa. The purple part is the battery. That is really a fast response spinning reserve contribution to make sure that the gas engines that we have at site or the diesel generation can ramp up and down according to the availability of wind and sun, where you've got cloud movements, where you've got short-term intermittent wind speeds. Now, another one, gas, as I showed earlier, if it's piped right now with the current prices, is quite an attractive solution, and the most natural thought would be, okay, let's hybridize that one. There are some challenges with it. When you look at that graph, the light blue line here is the load acceptance of different energy sources. Left is diesel, which is very, let's say, robust and can accept step load changes of up to 100% within less than a minute. And then depending on what type of gas you use, the step load change capabilities are lower on the gas side. That means you need to have a much more balanced and forecasted energy production with the gas generation than you have with diesel. So the diesel is, let's say, less efficient, however it is more robust, or let's say more step load resistant. And here are some of the on a time scale. So diesel can ramp up, and people in operations might be familiar with that number, within 20 seconds. Reciprocating gas engines within 5 minutes. I think gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen from Caterpillar and Cummins might want to tell me it can be done faster, but that's kind of what we see in the industry. And definitely if you go for for gas turbines, that can take up to 15 minutes, which would be the most efficient way of converting your gas into electricity. What does that mean for integrating renewables? You need the battery for spinning reserve. We would love to use the battery now at a larger scale for real energy applications, to shift energy from the daytime into the evening. However, right now the most economic and most widely used application is to bridge the time to ramp your gas engines to ramp your diesel engine. So you see here on the left hand side, the yellow is sun, the blue is the wind. I've taken a radical scenario where we've got significant cloud cover, the wind is stopping to blow, and now my battery and my gas engines or diesel generators need to cover the full demand. What you see here on the purple line is that as renewable energy generation decreases, the battery takes over and gives time to the fossil generation to cover the demand. And that's a time scale in seconds here at the bottom. So you see that within the 2 minutes or so, more and more power comes from the diesel side. How is that done? By intelligent, data-driven microgrid management. And maybe one last point, because I said that diesel is less efficient than gas, and that is generally true. However, when you look at low load, and that's the majority of the application when you hybridize a power plant, so your fleet of gensets that you have, gas or diesel, combined with renewables at penetration levels beyond, or contribution levels beyond 20%, will operate in a low load scenario. That means the efficiency that you have is lower. And the delta, the difference between the efficiency of a gas engine and a diesel engine becomes much, much smaller, up to marginal. So what we've seen when we model systems is that overall energy efficiency difference between gas and diesel becomes smaller and smaller with more renewables in the overall mix. So what are the key findings in that study? Number one is wind and solar plus a battery can operate competitively, as we've seen with both energy sources, so combined with gas and with diesel, but the lowest cash operating cost for this particular site was achieved with very high levels of renewables, 80%. So this is like 4 times of what we've done at Degrasser, something that hasn't been done so far. We're getting close with the Agni project. However, this would be a next step. The battery and the integration into a stable microgrid is a key factor on achieving this high level of reliability of 99.8% availability of what is market standard here in Australian off-grid mines. Overall, gas has in a hybrid system a lower carbon footprint. However, it will not decrease its cost when you go to as much as with diesel as you go to very high renewable penetration. So the 80% or the lowest LCOE system that we found for this case study was not gas with renewables, was diesel with renewables, because the capital cost is lower there, and therefore continuous LCOE reductions that come from renewables would not be seen with the gas combination. That's what I just mentioned. When you look at a gas pipeline, you've got land access rights, so that might impact on your time scale of project development. And gas is I would say, is a little bit more reliable or tolerant of step load changes, and therefore easier for application with higher levels of renewables and permissive load steps. In this particular case, with around, this is a with I think around 70% renewable penetration, we would save per year 89 million liters of diesel. That's a couple of thousand vehicles off the road every year. Just to put that into comparison, at Degrasser we save around 5 million liters. So that's like, what is that, 18-fold or something like that. So a significant amount of fuel that would be saved, and of course that translates to a significant amount of CO2 emissions. Equal 77% of CO2 emissions would be saved. How do we achieve that? We have been operating now at Degrasser for 2.5 years. We did that with solar. Why did we do wind and battery and everything at that time? The technology simply wasn't ready. Even though we were bullish about renewables, we wouldn't have proposed a system that delivers 80% renewables. However, due to the learnings that we had there and then various other projects that we've been doing, we've been able, with our industry partners from Siemens or ABB, with their microgrid platforms, to come up with a hybrid controller and an integrated mine-site specific solution that is able to deliver reliable 99.8% electricity at a lower all-in sustaining cost. So this is a product that is, or a solution that is specifically designed for the mining sector. That's not a microgrid controller off the shelf. That's specific with mining requirements in mind. That is seamlessly integrated with mine-site energy management system. I was very pleased to hear from Casey from Aus Minerals that they're looking at more digitization and reporting. That's exactly what the system can deliver. You see at the bottom here, right, is a typical SciTech mining SCADA integrated with the all asset management, generation management SCADA. The system optimizes for lowest cash operating cost, as well as for maximum CO2 savings. And it enables the operator, sitting either in the offices at site or remotely, to control and monitor and report on permissive start and stop control, load shedding, so on and so forth. So wrapping that up, a renewable energy-based system, a hybrid system, increases reliability because there are several sources of generation that, in the case of single point of failure, still maintain to operate. It adapts to changing operating requirements, so changing ore bodies. You need more vent fans, you have electrified fleets, you have a different processing method. That system is not there in cast in stone forever. It adapts. It can take additional energy on and off. It can take additional loads in generation. It provides detailed reporting and analysis. I think that digitization here is already implemented, and Hybrid IQ provides that to you as the operator. Again, Hybrid IQ increases reliability and performance. And I've made that statement in Toronto already, when we offer that to mining clients. This is exclusive to mining clients, not to other industries. It has a free wind assessment from our side. So if you've got interest in looking at your particular site, we can offer you wind assessment for that site. And I think I kept well within my time, and hopefully you're still awake and ready for your well-deserved coffee and tea and whatever else.